Have you ever noticed how some women will openly talk about confidence, kindness, emotional connection, but become strangely quiet when the conversation turns to age? Not because age does not matter, sometimes because it matters in ways they do not fully understand themselves. And if you have ever felt confused by the attention of a younger woman, if part of you keeps wondering, what does she actually see in me? Then stay with me for a few minutes. And if these conversations help you understand yourself a little better, consider liking or subscribing. Not for me, for the version of you that is finally ready to stop guessing and start seeing what has been there all along. I want to tell you something that most men never hear. Many women spend years believing they are attracted to one thing while quietly responding to something completely different. I know this because I have sat across from hundreds of women in conversations they never expected to have. Conversations after heartbreak. Conversations after divorce. Conversations after they fell for someone who looked nothing like the man they once imagined themselves with. And there is always a moment when they stop repeating the socially acceptable answer and start telling the truth. The truth usually sounds less polished, more vulnerable, more human. Because attraction is rarely as logical as people want it to be. You see, when most men think about age gap relationships, they assume the attraction begins with age itself. But that is usually not what happens. A woman rarely wakes up and thinks, I want someone older. What she often craves is the feeling she experiences around a certain kind of man. The age is simply attached to it. Think about that for a second, because those are not the same thing. Years ago, I worked with a woman in her late 20s, smart, independent, successful. The kind of woman people described as intimidating. She had spent years dating men her own age. Attractive men, ambitious men, interesting men. Yet every relationship seemed to leave her emotionally exhausted. Not devastated, just tired. As if she was constantly carrying something she could never put down. Then she met a man 15 years older than her. She almost did not go on the date. She told herself he was too old. Different stage of life, not what she wanted. But after 3 hours of conversation, something unexpected happened. She felt calm. Not excited, not obsessed, not anxious. Calm. And that single feeling unsettled her more than any chemistry she had experienced before. Because most people mistake emotional intensity for emotional connection. She had spent years chasing sparks. What she secretly wanted was peace. And that is where this conversation becomes uncomfortable. Because many men watching this believe women are attracted to excitement above all else. Sometimes they are. But many women eventually reach a point where excitement starts to feel expensive. The emotional roller coaster, the uncertainty, the mixed signals, the constant questioning. At some point, what once felt thrilling starts feeling exhausting. And when that happens, something changes inside her. The qualities she overlooked before suddenly become magnetic. The man who knows who he is. The man who does not need attention every second. The man who can sit in silence without becoming uncomfortable. The man whose presence feels steady instead of unpredictable. Notice what I did not say. I did not say older men are automatically more attractive, because they are not. Age alone means nothing. A man can grow older without growing deeper. A man can collect birthdays without collecting wisdom. But when emotional maturity and life experience genuinely exist, many women respond to it more strongly than they admit. Not because they are looking for a father figure, not because they are looking to be rescued, but because stability creates a kind of emotional safety that is becoming increasingly rare. And deep down, many women are far more affected by that feeling than they let themselves say out loud. The strange part? Many of them do not realize it until they experience it. One of the most misunderstood things about attraction is that people assume women are always chasing the most attractive man in the room. But attraction does not work that neatly. If it did, relationships would be simple. They are not. Because the qualities that catch someone's attention are often different from the qualities that keep pulling them back. And this is where many men become confused. A woman may notice a handsome face. She may enjoy charisma. She may be drawn toward confidence. But the man she thinks about at 2 o'clock in the morning is often affecting her on a completely different level. Let me explain. Years ago, a client described 2 relationships to me. The first man was exciting. Every conversation felt electric. Every date felt unpredictable. She never knew what was coming next. When he texted her, her heart raced. When he disappeared for a day, she felt anxious. When he came back, she felt relieved. She called it passion. At least that's what she called it at the time. Then she met someone older. Not dramatically older, just enough that there was a visible difference in life experience. What struck her wasn't his appearance, it wasn't money, it wasn't status. It was something much harder to describe. She said, "When I'm with him, I don't feel like I'm performing." That sentence stayed with me, because it revealed something deeper. Many women spend years feeling as though they must constantly manage how they are perceived. Am I interesting enough? Pretty enough? Fun enough? Smart enough? Desired enough? Even highly confident women carry those questions more often than people realize. But occasionally they meet a man around whom those questions become quieter. And when that happens, attraction can become surprisingly powerful. Not because he is older, but because he creates an emotional environment where she can stop defending herself. That feeling is rare. Much rarer than most men understand. You see, underneath confidence, underneath independence, underneath success, every human being wants to feel emotionally accepted. Not evaluated, not measured, accepted. The reason some women become drawn toward age gap relationships is not always about what the older man provides. Sometimes it is about what he removes. The pressure, the games, the competition, the uncertainty, the feeling that every interaction is some invisible test. And before anyone misunderstands this, let me be clear. Younger men can absolutely provide those qualities. Older men can absolutely lack them. This is not a conversation about age being superior. It is a conversation about patterns, and certain experiences tend to teach certain lessons. Many people become less reactive as they age, less desperate, less consumed by proving themselves. Not everyone, but enough people that the pattern becomes noticeable. Women notice it too, even when they cannot explain why. They simply find themselves feeling different around certain men, more relaxed, more feminine, more expressive, more emotionally open. And then comes the uncomfortable part. Because when a woman starts experiencing that feeling, it can challenge the story she has been telling herself. Maybe she always imagined ending up with someone exactly her age. Maybe she worried what friends would think. Maybe she feared judgment. Maybe she even criticized age gap relationships in the past. Then suddenly she finds herself enjoying conversations with a man she never expected to be interested in. And now she has a problem. Not because her feelings are wrong, because her feelings and her beliefs are no longer matching. That creates tension, internal tension, the kind people rarely talk about publicly. And this is why some women become surprisingly secretive about their attraction. Not because they are ashamed, but because they are trying to understand it themselves. They are asking questions they never expected to ask. Why do I feel safer around him? Why do I trust him? Why do I feel seen? Why am I looking forward to these conversations? Why does his attention affect me this much? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, why do I feel more like myself around him than I do around men I was supposed to want? That question has changed more relationships than most people will ever know. Because once someone experiences being deeply understood, it becomes very difficult to return to relationships built only on excitement. And that is where the real story begins. Not with age, not with attraction, but with a psychological need that almost every woman carries quietly inside her. The need to feel emotionally safe enough to finally stop pretending. The problem is that most men misunderstand what emotional safety actually looks like. They imagine it means being nice, agreeable, never challenging her, always available, always understanding. But that is not what creates emotional safety. In fact, some of the women I have worked with felt least secure around men who constantly tried to please them. Because something felt missing, something important. Strength. Not physical strength, psychological strength. The quiet kind. The kind that does not announce itself. The kind that does not need recognition. The kind that remains steady when emotions become complicated. And this is where age can sometimes play an unexpected role. Life has a way of humbling people. If someone is paying attention, years teach lessons that cannot be learned from books, podcasts, or social media posts. Heartbreak teaches, failure teaches, loss teaches, disappointment teaches. You survive enough difficult seasons, and eventually you stop panicking every time a storm appears. You learn that not every problem needs an immediate reaction. Not every disagreement means disaster. Not every silence means rejection. Not every challenge means the relationship is ending. Many women are deeply affected by this quality when they encounter it, not because it feels exciting, because it feels unfamiliar. Think about how much modern dating revolves around uncertainty. People analyzing text messages, watching response times, trying to decode hidden meanings, wondering who has more power, wondering who cares less, wondering whether they should reach out first. It's exhausting. And beneath all of that exhaustion is a quiet hunger, a desire for simplicity, a desire to stop calculating every interaction, a desire to finally relax. I remember speaking with a woman who had spent nearly a decade in relationships that looked perfect from the outside. Attractive partners, active social lives, constant activity. But when she described how she felt internally, one word kept appearing: unsettled. That was the word, not unhappy, unsettled. She said she always felt as if she were waiting for something to go wrong, waiting for distance, waiting for disappointment, waiting for change. Then she met a man significantly older than her. Again, not a perfect man, not some fantasy, a normal man. But he possessed something she had rarely experienced: consistency. His personality on Tuesday matched his personality on Friday. His words matched his actions. His mood did not determine his character. His attention did not disappear whenever life became inconvenient. And what fascinated her was how uncomfortable that felt at first. Most people assume healthy dynamics immediately feel good. Often they do not. Sometimes healthy dynamics feel boring compared to chaos. Sometimes stability feels unfamiliar. Sometimes predictability feels strange, especially if someone has spent years confusing emotional turbulence with emotional depth. This is one of the most difficult truths about attraction. People often become attached to what feels familiar, not necessarily what feels healthy. And when a woman finally experiences a different kind of connection, she may not immediately recognize what is happening. She only notices that she feels different, calmer, more grounded, less obsessed, less fearful, more herself. And here's something many men never consider. A woman's attraction often deepens after she feels understood, not before. Movies teach people that attraction appears instantly. Real life is often more complicated. Many women become emotionally attached through repeated experiences of feeling seen. A conversation where she feels heard, a moment where she feels respected, a disagreement where she feels valued instead of dismissed, a difficult day where she feels supported rather than judged. These moments accumulate, quietly, almost invisibly, until one day she realizes she looks forward to hearing his voice, not because he creates butterflies, because he creates peace. And peace is an incredibly underestimated form of attraction, especially in a world that constantly rewards noise. The irony is that many men spend years trying to become more impressive, more successful, more attractive, more interesting, while completely overlooking the quality that often leaves the deepest emotional imprint: the ability to make someone feel safe enough to be real. And for some women, when they finally encounter that feeling in a man who happens to be older, the age difference stops being the thing they notice. What they notice is how difficult it has become to walk away from the way he makes them feel when they are together. What makes this even more complicated is that many women never talk openly about this experience, not because they are hiding something, because they know how easily people misunderstand it. The moment a woman admits she feels drawn to an older man, assumptions appear. People start telling stories about money, stories about status, stories about insecurity, stories about motives. And sometimes those things do play a role in certain relationships. Human relationships are complicated. There is never one explanation for everyone. But what often gets ignored is the emotional reality happening beneath the surface. The part that cannot be photographed, the part that cannot be measured, the part that exists inside private conversations and quiet moments. I once asked a woman a simple question: "What do you feel when you're with him?" I expected a long answer. Instead, she sat silently for several seconds. Then she said something I have never forgotten. "I don't feel lonely." That's all she said. And honestly, it was enough. Because loneliness is not always about being alone. Some of the loneliest people I have ever met were in relationships. They shared beds, shared homes, shared routines, yet emotionally they felt invisible. They felt unheard, misunderstood, disconnected. The deepest loneliness often happens in the presence of another person, not in their absence. When this woman described the older man she was seeing, she wasn't describing his age. She wasn't describing his career. She wasn't describing his appearance. She was describing an experience. She said she felt emotionally accompanied, as though someone was genuinely present with her instead of merely occupying space beside her. That distinction matters more than most people realize, because many women spend years adapting themselves to fit relationships. They become easier, quieter, less demanding, less expressive. They slowly trim away parts of themselves to maintain harmony. Not because someone forces them to, because they become afraid of being misunderstood. And eventually, that creates emotional exhaustion. Then one day they meet someone who does not require that performance. Someone who listens carefully. Someone who pays attention to what is not being said. Someone who notices the sadness hidden behind the smile, the tension hidden behind the confidence, the fear hidden behind the independence. When that happens, attraction begins operating on a deeper level, not a louder level, a deeper one. And that difference changes everything. Because loud attraction is easy to notice, everyone sees it. Deep attraction often grows quietly, without dramatic moments, without obvious signs, without grand declarations. It develops through accumulated trust, one conversation, then another, until eventually she realizes something unexpected. His opinion matters to her, his presence affects her, his absence is noticeable. Not because she needs him, because she values him. And there is an enormous psychological difference between those two things. Healthy attraction is rarely about dependency. It is often about appreciation, respect, emotional resonance. The feeling that another person's existence genuinely improves your emotional world. Now here's where many men watching this might become uncomfortable, because some of you are assuming that age itself creates these qualities. It doesn't. Not automatically. There are older men who are emotionally unavailable, older men who are immature, older men who create chaos wherever they go. And there are younger men who possess extraordinary emotional intelligence. What women are responding to is not a number. It is a presence, a way of being, a level of self-awareness, a groundedness. Age simply increases the chances that someone has developed those qualities. Not guaranteed, just more likely. And when a woman encounters a man who combines emotional steadiness with genuine care, something interesting happens. Her guard begins to lower, not all at once, slowly, almost invisibly, until one day she catches herself sharing things she normally keeps hidden. Fears, dreams, regrets, memories, the private pieces of herself that most people never get to see. And in that moment, what she is craving is no longer excitement. It is connection. Real connection. The kind that feels increasingly rare in a world full of attention but starving for understanding. And that is often the moment when attraction becomes far stronger than she ever intended it to be. There is another truth about this that almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most important one. Many women are not drawn toward an older man because of who he is today. They are drawn toward how he makes them imagine their future. That sounds subtle, but psychologically, it changes everything. Human beings are constantly evaluating possibility, even when they do not realize it. Every relationship quietly asks a question. What will my life feel like if I keep walking in this direction? Most people think attraction lives in the present moment. A smile, a conversation, a touch, a feeling. But a surprising amount of attraction is connected to the future we imagine with another person. The emotional future, the psychological future, the version of ourselves we might become. I remember a woman telling me about a man she could not stop thinking about. At first, she described ordinary things, his voice, his humor, his patience, his confidence. But eventually, she reached the real reason. the reason underneath all the other reasons. She said, "When I picture my life 5 years from now, I feel calmer when he's in it." Notice how different that is from infatuation. Infatuation asks, "How do I feel right now?" Deeper connection often asks, "Who do I become around this person over time?" That question matters, especially as people mature. Because eventually most women realize that chemistry alone cannot carry a relationship forever. Physical attraction matters. Of course it does. Shared interests matter. Laughter matters. Passion matters. But after enough life experience, many women start paying attention to something else. Emotional predictability. Not predictability in the sense of boredom, predictability in the sense of trust. Knowing who someone is, knowing where they stand, knowing their character does not change every time life becomes difficult. This is where some age gap relationships begin to make more sense psychologically. Not because the older partner is perfect, because he may have already wrestled with questions the younger partner is still discovering. Questions about identity, purpose, failure, regret, meaning. Again, not always, but often enough that women notice. And what they notice is not wisdom in the dramatic sense, it is wisdom in ordinary moments. The way he responds under pressure, the way he handles disappointment, the way he speaks about people who are not in the room, the way he carries responsibility, the way he remains himself when things do not go his way. Character reveals itself in small moments, not grand ones. Women pay attention to those moments more than many men realize. In fact, some of the strongest attraction grows from observation, not performance, observation. She watches, she notices, she remembers how he treats strangers, how he handles conflict, how he reacts to stress, how he behaves when there is nothing to gain. And slowly, a picture begins forming in her mind. A picture of who he actually is, not who he claims to be. And that distinction is powerful. Because modern life is full of carefully managed images, people can present almost any version of themselves. But consistency is difficult to fake. Eventually, reality always shows up. Eventually, character becomes visible. And when a woman encounters someone whose actions repeatedly match his words, she often experiences a feeling that is difficult to explain. Relief. Pure relief. Relief that she does not have to decode him. Relief that she does not have to constantly question his intentions. Relief that what she sees is actually what she gets. You might think relief sounds unromantic. It isn't. For many women, emotional relief becomes one of the most attractive experiences imaginable. Because beneath all the excitement people chase, beneath all the chemistry, beneath all the fantasies, there is a quiet desire almost everyone shares. The desire to finally stop wondering, to finally stop guessing, to finally feel secure enough to exhale. And when someone gives her that feeling consistently, she often becomes emotionally attached long before she realizes how deeply she has fallen. And maybe that is the real reason this topic makes so many people uncomfortable. Because it forces us to look beyond age, beyond appearances, beyond the easy explanations. The truth is rarely as simple as people want it to be. A woman does not suddenly become interested in a man because a certain number of birthdays have passed. Human attraction is far more emotional than that, far more personal, far more layered. What many women quietly crave is not age itself, it is what they associate with it. Presence, emotional steadiness, self-awareness, patience, depth. The feeling that someone has lived enough life to understand that every disagreement is not a battle, every silence is not rejection, every difficult moment is not the end. And yet there is something even deeper beneath all of this, something many men watching tonight may not have considered. Sometimes a woman's attraction to an older man has very little to do with what she is searching for. Sometimes it has everything to do with what she is tired of. Tired of uncertainty, tired of emotional inconsistency, tired of relationships that feel like performances, tired of pretending she is unaffected when she is exhausted, tired of carrying emotional weight alone. When people become tired enough, their priorities change. Not because they lower their standards, because they finally understand what truly matters to them. And maturity often begins there. Not when someone gains more options, when someone gains more clarity. That clarity changes attraction. It changes what feels impressive. It changes what feels valuable. It changes what feels rare. A man who once seemed ordinary suddenly appears extraordinary because she now recognizes qualities she overlooked before. Not flashy qualities, quiet ones. The qualities that make relationships feel sustainable instead of merely exciting. The qualities that create emotional safety instead of emotional confusion. The qualities that allow two people to relax into who they really are. If there is one thing I hope you understand after listening to me, it is this. The strongest attraction is often invisible from the outside. People see an age gap and assume they understand the story. Most of the time, they do not. They cannot see the conversations, the trust, the comfort, the emotional safety, the feeling of being understood. They cannot see the private moments where someone finally feels accepted without needing to prove anything. And perhaps that is what so many people are searching for without realizing it. Not perfection, not fantasy, not endless excitement. Understanding. Real understanding. The kind that allows you to put down your defenses for a little while. The kind that makes you feel seen rather than judged. The kind that makes loneliness grow quieter. Because at the end of the day, the deepest human need is not attention. It is connection. And when a woman finds a connection that feels genuine, safe, and emotionally nourishing, she may discover herself drawn towards someone she never expected. Not because of his age, but because of how she feels when she is with him. So if you've spent years believing attraction is only about looks, status, or charm, I want you to consider another possibility. Maybe the qualities that leave the deepest mark on another person's heart are the ones that rarely demand attention. Maybe true presence is more powerful than performance. Maybe emotional maturity is more attractive than most people dare admit. And maybe, just maybe, the relationships that surprise us the most are the ones that reveal who we have been looking for all along. Not someone perfect, just someone who finally feels like home.